What are the best things that I ever did for myself? Hands down, these are the best things that you can do for yourself. And I would consider this to be my biggest asset that I now carry with me 24/7. Welcome back to the Power of Personal Branding and Manifestation podcast. I'm so glad to have you here tuning in today. Happy Tuesday. We are really going to get into the nitty gritty of the best things that I ever did for myself. This is going to be so good. So go grab your matcha, go on your hot girl walk, and let's start. So I still remember I was in my last year of high school and every single person I knew were writing down their college application, looking at college that they wanted to go and send their letter to and hope to be accepted. And I remember looking around and thinking, oh my God, I literally have to prepare myself to disappoint every single person in my life. Because at that point, I had already decided that I wasn't going to college. I had already decided I wasn't sending a single letter of application. I had already decided I am going to graduate and I'm going to start my business. And I had no credential for that, I had no proof, I had nothing to back me up. And I went to my parents and told them, hey, actually, I'm going to follow my passion and not go to college. You can trust me, this is totally worth it. When I told them, I legitimately felt like such a disappointment of a daughter. And this is one of the biggest assets to ever have, which is audacity, which is the audacity to truly be like, I can do this. The audacity to be able to disappoint other people. Having the audacity to stand your ground and be okay that not everybody is going to understand you, especially when it comes to your content, right? Or even your personal brand or just in your life in general. And I'm telling you, audacity is the thing that is carrying all of your success on the back. It's audacity. It's the biggest asset when you are building a life that does not come with a set blueprint. And now, not long after I decided to start my business and I told my parents, I started showing up on social media. And this was way before TikTok was even a thing. This was back when I was working at a gym and the minimum wage, I think, was like $11.50 an hour. And the only thing that I was doing at that point was A, figuring out how to attract clients and have a business, and B, film and post content. Those are the only two things that I was doing. And especially back then, I think it was a lot harder to want validation from your content or anything like that because there was barely anyone online and it was almost like really weird to be posting content. I think like that aspect also made it easier to not look for validation. It was just like, I care, that's why I'm doing this. And this is something else that I realized was people don't really decide to care. Like, you are the one creating that response. And you can literally use every single thing to your advantage. Like every single thing that maybe it doesn't look like an advantage right now, you can use that stuff to your advantage. Honestly, like that's the thing that I feel stretched, myself and my capacity to be uncomfortable and be in this room. Like all these things were stretching me. And I started attracting more and more clients with the content that I was creating. And that was without all of the things that other people said that I needed. You need ads. You need to do outreach, you need to do DMs, even now, right? And I started to get these results without all the things that everybody said I had to have or I had to have in my business. This is the next thing, which is like your business and your brand. Like it does not have to look like everybody else's. And in fact, like it shouldn't, right? Because you are literally the creator of your life. And so why the hell wouldn't you take advantage of that? Like that's exactly what I did. Like everybody was like, you need this, you need that, you need this. And I was like, no, fuck that. That's not what I want. And then really creating the business that is for you, truly being the creator and the dictator of like your business, your brand. I think sometimes like we can underestimate how much control we have over our business and over what we are creating. And like, we need to kind of remember that. Like, it's like you have all of the control. You have literally created this business that you have for yourself, and you can change aspect for it to be better for you and really building for that long-term vision. like for that long-term vision that you are building towards, right? And this is also when I like to kind of remind other people, like, you know, what are the things that like you're doing because you believe that if you don't do them, then you will fail, right? And these are kind of the things that needs to go because they don't really match your long-term vision, right? Like if you're never able to rest, if you're never able to have time with your partner, if you're never able to do X, Y, and Z, but then in the future you want that, like that doesn't work. Like, you know, it needs to work now so that it works later on when you have built an even bigger things for yourself or an even bigger, fuller life. That came again from really prioritizing the long-term gain over just the short-term, like quick fix. And a quote that I love that I heard on another podcast was, you know, are you building not to fail or to win? As I started to be a crazy psycho when it came to my content, I started attracting more and more clients consistently. At that point, I had ditched the gym job. I was part-time at Sephora and I was taking my clients. I was going left and right and my boss started telling me I look very distracted, and it was very apparent because of the fact that I was their top seller for a very specific brand in that workplace. It's almost as if she had put words into what I was avoiding. This is the first time that I realized the impact of my focus, right? Because our focus is so limited and you cannot be building every single thing at once, doing 3,000 things at once and pouring into 3,000 different buckets and expect all of the bucket to be super full and overflowing. Like it's just not gonna work. Like all of your bucket are just gonna be like 50% rate and like they're all competing with each other. And this is why I always say, you know, what is 20% of the action that creates 80% of your result? Because the bucket that you are focusing on the most, that's the one that is going to take a lot less time to fill up. When I simplified what I was doing, my results started to multiply. This is when I started to crack the code on how to attract the right clients consistently, who did not need convincing, who did not even hesitate for the rate because they were already sold through my personal brand and on my value. And this is the next thing that I want to bring up, right? Is also like figuring out what are your biggest leverage point when it comes to your business, when it comes to your success, when it comes to whatever version of your life that you want. Like what is your biggest like leverage point, and really like honing down on that and creating the focus on that, because that is inevitably what is going to bring you the most. And it sounds like super simple, but like you need to like really create these leverage points. Like they're not just going to suddenly arrive. This is when I started being able to travel more. I did not need to chase down or like wait on referrals anymore, or have this like guessing game of like what the hell is the content that's gonna work or not. And what followed that was getting inquiries from brand and businesses to help them with content that would convert, that would attract the right clients, that would grow their online presence and like have content that does what they needed to do. And that was a crazy 360 moment for me because that had never even crossed my mind. I just decided to go ahead and do it and jump and be like, let's freaking go. Like I actually love doing this, so why wouldn't I do this? And this is also the principle that I love, which is like the ability to still fuck around and find out. Like still fuck around and find out. And I feel like this is definitely a concept that when you're starting out, you understand like you need to fuck around and find out. But how about like when you're not starting out anymore? Like how are you still fucking around and finding out? Like, you know what I mean? I think like that comes again with a level of audacity, having more audacity. And one of the biggest success trait to have is to stay in motion, not in perfection. There's not enough people who talk about the pressure of having knowledge, because sometimes when you have more knowledge on something, you have a higher expectation of yourself. You have a higher level of like execution because you know more. And so you can do better, but then you don't want that knowledge to limit you, because that is still the very thing that moves things a lot faster. And as I started helping these businesses and these women with their personal brand, I saw them go from chasing, convincing, waiting for referrals to literally getting to crank up their magnetism and have content that actually converts into the most amazing clients for them. And that's what I knew. Oh my God, I had found something. That turned into today, obviously, what I do, personal branding. And one of my favorite affirmation when it comes to this, having that audacity be really like brought out a lot more, is I'm not nervous, I'm excited. Because the feeling of like scared and excited, I feel they're kind of very back to back. Meaning that when you are scared, it's just this lack of certainty and belief. And so what's on the other side of that is literally excitement. You know, teaching masterclass, training literally teams or speaking gig, which at some point, like there was a first time to that. When you feel fear, it's literally just excitement with doubt, and so it turns into fear. They're so similar in emotion. The next thing with this is also that your environment sets your ceiling. Something that I learned from the relationship that I've been in is that the people closest to you will either expand who you are becoming, who you are stepping into, or slowly and quietly make you shrink. And most people don't even realize that it's happening. I had to ask myself multiple times, well, you know, does this relationship or the space that I'm in, is it elevating my highest self, or is it pulling me back into my comfort? Is it making my comfort okay? Is it strengthening my highest self, or is it just cuddling me? Is it just making me shrink into my shell? Is it making it okay that I'm just comfortable? Like, no, I don't want that, right? I definitely think that too many times I was really trying to be so understanding to everybody around me. Everybody, oh my God, I want to understand everyone. I want to understand everyone. But then that kind of turned into me abandoning my real values and like what I truly prioritize and what I truly want. I had to realize that being around the wrong people, even though they are good, even though they are nice, even though they are supportive or whatever, it can still cost you more than you're willing to admit. And this is the power of proximity. You are in an environment where you are not rewarded for holding yourself back. You are rewarded for being dedicated, shining even brighter. One of the biggest things for me was really feeling bad by how obsessed I was with my business or my work, and feeling like I couldn't be that dedicated. I couldn't be that ambitious. I couldn't be X, Y, and Z, because that's not good. And it was getting painted as this thing of that's not good, but it was just really that like the values weren't aligned. Like the values weren't aligned and it was not working. It was making me hold myself back so much and killing my passion slowly and slowly. And this is what I'm talking about when I say, you know, your environment sets your ceiling. Your external success is always going to reflect the internal state. And this is something that I started seeing a lot more when I started getting a lot into manifestation, because I started to see that how I was operating was not random and I could better that. Like it was okay, but I could make it even better. The more that I became aware of my motivation and why I was doing the things that I was doing, I started to see that sometimes I would really be accomplishing my goals or expanding myself or doing these things from a place of I don't want to fail, not, oh my God, I'm winning. Which is so like, oh my God, lives on the opposite side. Oh my God, am I doing this so I'm not failing, so I'm not losing, versus like, am I doing this because I'm gaining and I'm doing this from a place of expansion and I feel like I'm fueling my mission and myself, because one pours into your cup a lot more than the other, because the other is always filling this hole of like, oh my God, let me do this. But like the hole, this is the thing, like when there's a hole in the bucket doesn't fill up very fast. Right? And versus when I started getting more into manifestation and all of these things, I started being forced to look at how I was operating, not just what I was doing. This is also a period in my life where it forced me to assume myself a lot more, because I did not grow up with a background of family that we believe in like manifestation or like spirituality or all of these things. Like it was really off the table, like very much like no one believes that stuff. And so for me to be, going to manifestation and everything, like it really stretched my capacity to be comfortable and feel empowered into what I believed in, what I chose, you know what I mean? And like assuming myself a lot more. And I feel like that, again, that really translates in every single aspect of your life. And I know that for me, it does. Like when I am just so deeply rooted in myself, like I am so magnetic. I am so like, I'm showing up so differently, and the world around me shows up differently too. The final best thing that I did was to get in the flow of money. And so, money is just like, again, like it's always like an exchange, and understanding that like money is always floating around. You just need to get in the flow of it, because there was definitely a time in my life where I thought that I needed to reach a certain point to make an investment or do this travel or do this trip or be able to do X, Y, and Z or whatever. But I always was like pushing it back. And I started seeing it as like, what would it look like to be in the flow? That allowed me to just stop holding back on my expansion, and everything else around me stopped holding itself back on me as well. And so that is honestly one of the best things that I ever did. And I want you to really hear that once again, okay? Once I stopped holding back on my expansion, everything else stopped holding back on me too. I hope you got so much insight from this episode. I absolutely love talking to you about all of these things that truly made the biggest difference for me. And if you know someone that would absolutely love to hear this episode, send it to them. And definitely don't forget to take a screenshot and post it on your Instagram story and tag me. I'm at Malika Biro B, and show me what you are doing while you are tuning in. I absolutely love to see you. And of course, I'm going to repost it on my story. And so as always, stay amazing, and I will see you next week. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in, and don't forget to leave your 5-star rate and review on the podcast. I love to know what you guys think of the episodes, and I will meet you here next week.